Unsettled. In this world, unsettled is how you'll feel when you need things to remain familiar, consistent, routine. It can be unsettling, can't it, when nothing seems to stay the same. Everything changes. Even the things we leave alone change. Leave a plant or a tree alone and it will change. It'll go through seasons, bud, bloom, fall, rest. Leave food alone and it will deteriorate, waste, rot. Even you, if you sit where you are right now and do nothing, you will still change. Your hunger will peak and fall. Your lungs will fill with oxygen as you breathe in and out. And yet we crave things to stay the same, routine, familiar, as if we'd feel safer if the clock really did stop ticking, if the food really did stay fresh, if the flowers always stayed in bloom. Same, consistent, routine, familiar. And so the tension comes up when what we want and when what happens clash. They create friction, but let me help you ease that tension when all you want is for things to stay the same, yet all that happens is that they change with 3 simple steps. You don't have to live this way in fear of change. You can master the art of life changing, shifting, routine disruptions so that you actually sit above change and you use it to align your life for the better, for better relationships. So that change in your relationships actually helps you grow as a person, find new ways to deepen connections and feel more close to your loved ones and those around you. For a better career and progress to your goals, where change in your personal life, your job and your career actually wakes you up to the fact that you can find new solutions to problems that you've been facing, find new paths to head to the destination that you want to go. For better physical health, where change in your body helps you hit pause on the hustle and the bustle of life, helping you take a moment to actually reflect and look at what's working and what's not for your well-being. For better finances, where change in your income or the economy helps you wake up to the fact that you can learn new financial skills, new financial mindsets, develop ways to create value in the world that will give you freedom of lifestyle and freedom of choice as you align with change to help shift your income. You can sit above change, not in a way that's detached from it or in fear of it, but in a way that helps you flow in alignment with it, where you feel at ease, even possibly at joy with change, because you know it's working for your betterment, it's working for a brighter future. The 3 steps that I'll give you will help you flow with constant cycles of change. And I don't even need to know you personally. I already know that you throughout your life have been in constant cycles of change. From when you were born, you were first a baby, and then you grew to a toddler, a child, through to your adulthood. You've been through constant cycles of change. And then you started forming relationships, first with your parents or your caregivers. And then you made friendships and saw what that felt like. Maybe found a partner, and through it all, you went through constant cycles of change, deciding what your passions are, where you would want your future to go, choosing jobs and career paths, maybe switching them along the way. You've been through constant cycles of change. So the question isn't, will change happen? That is guaranteed. The question is, have you learned to flow well with it? I know that you have been through constant cycles of change, either because what you want internally shifts and then you make new decisions, or because people outside of you, circumstances around you shift and change in a way that impacts you. Yet, when change arrives, for some reason, it still seems to shock our emotions because it wakes us up to the fact that things aren't going to stay the same. And that can make us feel unstable, make us feel like the boat is rocking, like the ground beneath us might crumble. So the cycle begins, change happens, alarm bells go off internally, control comes out externally. Overthinking. If I can just think about it this way, think about it that way, think about what could happen, think about what should have happened, maybe I can stop the change. I would overthink too. One time in university, I had a lab project with a partner. She let me do some of the steps in the experiment by myself and I messed them up. The results went wrong and then the overthinking began. Why did I mess it up? Why didn't I get it right? Now I've messed it up, not just for myself, but her. This isn't just going to affect my grades, it's going to affect her. On and on and on these thoughts went, thinking about the change that I didn't prevent. Change happens, alarm bells go off internally, control comes out externally. Blinging. Looking to other people to tell me I'm worthy, tell me I'm worth it, tell me it's going to be okay. Looking to them to give me what I have the ability to give to myself. If they just never leave me emotionally, mentally, financially, physically, spiritually, maybe it could stop the change. Personally, for me, it wasn't so much clinging to other people, but instead clinging to an old version of myself. A version of myself that people had learned me to be. The way I acted, the way I reacted, what I liked, who the world had known me to be. My efforts to cling onto that person was an effort to resist change. The change of who I could be. Change happens, alarm bells go off internally, control comes out externally. Blocking. Everything just needs to go to plan. Every minute, every hour, I will plan it out and make sure I do all that I can for it to stick to the plan. Plan what they'll say, plan what we'll do, plan how I'll feel, plan what they'll respond with. Because if I can predict all that will happen whilst restricting anything else, then maybe I can stop the change. Oh boy, I was a blocker. I would block out and plan every single hour of my day. Each sunrise, my pen would rise and write down what I hoped the day would hold. But then my energy would fail to stick to plan, or my phone would ping with a request from someone that wasn't on the map of how I thought the day should go. And so change would sneak in, and my efforts to restrict it by blocking didn't work. Do you overthink, cling, block as an effort to try and stop change? I understand you, but from my experience, that only stressed me out further because change would creep in different ways. And so my efforts to resist it only stressed me out. And this was a big problem for me. Not a little bit like, a bit stressed, but no, it was a really big problem to the point where I thought, I should probably go and see someone qualified about this. And so I did. I went to see a qualified CBT therapist. And then I started to unpack it. I started to tell her how I was planning my life around avoiding change, but it felt like running some sort of low budget life simulation, and it was only stressing me out. She listened calmly, patiently, and after I finished my run, she hit me with, "It sounds like you have a mental allergy." I thought, what? A mental allergy? But then she explained. She told me that I have a psychological allergy to uncertainty. And after she went through what she meant, I thought to myself, fair enough, you're right. Because you see, change is unstoppable. So when it would come into my life, as it always does, instead of dealing with it in the 3 steps that I'm going to give you, I didn't know how. So change would arrive and it would stress me out mentally, emotionally, overthink, panic. I have no idea what I'm going to do, mentally wheezing as if I'm grabbing for imaginary antihistamines. But the problem is my efforts to try and stop the change couldn't work. So instead, they just created chaos. So if you're wondering whether I understand the pain of trying to control things to stay the same, then I do. I understand you. But take a step back. Is the issue really that you don't want things to change? Or is the real issue the fact that you don't feel safe? And so your efforts to block change, overthink, cling, are just an effort to try and feel stable in this life. But we can't control every external detail of our lives, the ins, the outs, the ups, the downs. No matter how hard we try, things will still chop and change. People react in ways you don't expect. You react in ways you didn't see coming. Our finances flow and go in different ways. Even our body responds differently over time. And so the issue comes when we spend energy on the unstoppable flow of change, trying to block and resist it, trying to hit pause on change that's constantly on play. Shoulders tense, stomachs knot, minds race as we try and resist change. But if it can't be resisted, then what's the point of it? The point of it is for us to learn to work with it, for us to align with it for our betterment. You may not be able to control what happens externally, but what you can control is how it influences you, how you react internally. And I'll show you how with the 3 steps that I'm going to give you. Because think about it. You may not be able to control how people talk to you, how your parents, your colleagues, your boss, or those around you speak down on you, use their words to harm you or hurt you. But you can control what happens inside you. Build your sense of worth, your sense of esteem on things that people's words can never dampen or damage. For me, it's the fact that God loves me, that God chose me, and that can never be changed because of his love and his mercy that he showed me through Jesus. You may not be able to avoid moments of loss, deep pain, overwhelming grief. Sometimes these things hit us externally in ways that we never saw coming. But you can control what happens inside of you by building out your sense of stability on foundations that never fail, things that never shake, so that when the emotional storms of life come, you have somewhere to retreat to that's stable and peaceful, somewhere to retreat to that feels safe internally. You may not be able to control the economy, the job market, even your country's stability. Those things can feel like they're so far out of our control. But you can control what happens inside you and what you choose to pour your time and your energy into. Whether that's developing new skills, learning new financial mindsets, or practicing financial stability habits, so that when the time changes for your economic financial situation to change, you're ready to take that opportunity because you've influenced things inside of you, things inside of your control. So yes, nothing in this world stays the same. Everything changes. Will you battle the unstoppable flow, or will you focus on things you can influence? The things that you can influence are things inside of you. You are the one thing that you can influence. You are the one thing that you can change, things inside of you. Learning how to do this, learning how to self-regulate, which is when you learn how to manage your emotions, your actions and your reactions, can help you so much mentally, physically, and even financially. Learning how to self-regulate and improve your influence on yourself can help you navigate change externally. In fact, one scientific study published in the Global Advances in Health and Medicine journal actually showed incredible results for what improving self-regulation, which is when you influence your actions, thoughts and reactions, could do for you. You have to hear this, because imagine if you could achieve the same in your life. So this study was done on a group of people who are in a highly stressful job. The only thing that you can predict in this job is the unpredictable, constantly full of change and unexpected situations and scenarios, sometimes unsafe. Can you guess what it is? This study was done on police officers. This experiment was run by Dr. McCartney and Dr. Atkinson on 59 police officers across 7 different agencies in the state of California, United States of America. The police officers were put in intense role-play situations, from high-speed car chases to uncertain building searches, and then their responses and reactions were analysed. Out of the 59 police officers, 28 of them did a self-regulation program that taught them tools to manage their actions, reactions, and thoughts. The rest of them didn't do that program. Then lights, camera, action. The role play scenes began and their reactions were analysed. There were so many results that came out from this study, but I'll name just a few to show you what the effects of self-regulation could be for you. The group that learned self-regulation tools, ways to influence their mind, emotions, and reactions, had decreased sleeplessness by 17% and were 18% less tired, more peaceful nights, and more energy. Whereas the group who didn't learn self-influence tools actually had 6% more sleeplessness. 83% of the group who learned self-regulation tools said they could manage their feelings better. 75% of them reported being able to listen to their family with more patience. Depression went down by 13% in that group, whereas those who didn't get the training had a 17% increase in depression. And the trained group even said their teamwork, listening, and communication skills at work improved. The list goes on, but one thing is clear. These police officers who have highly stressful, constantly changing, unpredictable jobs saw links to better mental health, better physical health, and better relationships by using self-regulation tools, ways to influence their thoughts, their actions, and their reactions. What ways in your life could see links to better physical, mental state, and relationship health by using self-regulation tools, ways that influence your mind, your emotions, and your reaction? Because as we concluded before, you can't control or even stop change. People act in different ways. The wind blows in different directions. Sometimes even you react in ways that you didn't expect. So keeping our focus on the externals and trying to control them ends up wasting energy. Instead, we should focus on the internal things within that we can influence, because that is where true power lies. That is where you spend your energy and you actually get a return. But don't believe it just because I said it, that chasing after external things and trying to control them won't ultimately satisfy you in life. Believe it based on the reflections of those who have achieved what so many people seek after externally. Warren Buffett, legendary investor with an estimated net worth of over 140 billion US dollars, states, if you aren't happy having $50,000, you are not going to be happy if you have $50 million. Will you choose the external pursuit of changes in money, trying to force external situations to rearrange themselves so that your funds rise? Or will you choose gratitude and joy no matter what season of life you're in, realizing that abundance truly first starts within? Ariana Huffington, author and co-founder of the global news platform HuffPost, which receives an estimated 35 million visits in traffic per month, states, "We now know through the latest scientific findings that if we worship money, we'll never truly feel abundant. If we worship power, recognition, and fame, we'll never feel we have enough." Will you endlessly chase more externally, more money, more power, more recognition? Or will you put your trust in God that He will provide for you, freeing your mind up to pour into projects that will benefit this world and progress humanity, freeing your soul up to pour into relationships, the beauty that you hold within yourself? Winston Churchill, former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, serving 2 terms as statesman and soldier, states, "What is the use of living if not to strive for noble causes and to make this muddled world a better place for those who will live in it after we are gone?" Will you endlessly try to stack up accomplishments, but after the crowd is gone, the cheers have faded, the algorithm has changed, the titles, badges, trophies, and plaques all feel empty? Or will you choose to pursue your purpose, live out your destiny, creating a legacy in this world, your community, and those around you that lasts, making an impact on this world that leaves it a better place? You can chase external things like money, fame, power, meaningless work, but they chop, change, even feel different than how we thought they would from a distance. Or you can focus on things that truly satisfy, things that really make you feel alive, and those are things within. I'll give you 3 steps just now that will help you align with change by focusing on the internal things, so that change externally doesn't make you feel chaotic, but you feel able to rise above it, stable enough to use it for your betterment. Because you have the ability to face every chopping, changing, different swaying situation in your life by stabilizing in peace, internal, so that you can drop tense shoulders and breathe easy. You have the ability to face every chopping, changing, different swaying situation by practicing self-control, internal, so that your heart rate decreases and tense muscles relax. You have the ability to face every chopping, changing, different swaying situation in your life by practicing gratitude for what is going right, even amongst a whole lot going wrong, so that your mood lifts up, internal, helping you gain energy to progress through your days. Life is not about having everything external under your control so that it doesn't change, but it's about focusing on your internal things, the the internal things that you can influence so that you can progress through change with stability, with clarity, and with intention. So how can you break out of cycles of fearing change, trying to control it, overthink, cling, and block? You can break out of these cycles with these 3 steps. Step 1, wake up. Wake up to the fact that you have internal things that you can influence. But often with our internal things, we think that they're stuck. We think that they can't change. What do I mean by internal things? By internal things, I mean things like your mindset, your behavior, your decisions, your emotional cycles and processing, even your trauma. Oftentimes we think that these things are stuck, that these internal things can't change, that they are the way they are, that things are just the way they have to be. Step 1, wake up. How many things have we just accepted, agreed with, resigned into complacency because we see them as that's just the way they are, the way they have to be? Yeah, I can't save money. I just spend it, like all of it. Budgeting, never met her. Investing, that sounds like something rich people say for fun. That's just the way things are, the way it has to be. Acting like our bank account is a charity that we accidentally donate to sometimes. Yeah, I have a temper. I snap a lot, bro. I have issues. That's just the way things are, the way it has to be. Rebranding harmful behavior like it came as a permanent feature, acting like it came pre-installed. Yeah, so I don't really do that exercise thing. I just eat whatever's closest, sleep. Sometimes it's just the way things are, the way it has to be. Treating our body like it has unlimited warranty and then getting shocked when it starts making noises it definitely wasn't making before. And then on top of that, we take it a step further. We try to control things so that they stay exactly the same. Same habits, same reactions, same mess, just with better explanations. But this cycle is not healthy. Step 1, wake up. Wake up to the fact that these things happened. There was a happening, and then these actions, reactions, mindsets, and decisions came into being. They didn't always exist, even if right now they feel automatic. It's like driving. At a moment in time when you first started learning to drive, everything felt difficult. Learning how to do the gear shifts, look at your wind mirror, mess with the pedal and the clutch, make sure you're not going to hit other cars on the road or something stationary. It was all so difficult. It felt brand new and impossible to coordinate. But eventually you practiced and practiced until it became automatic, until it became like second nature. There was a happening that had to happen for you to feel like driving is a part of who you are. It's the same way with our internal things. We can feel like our behaviors, our actions, our reactions, our internal things are just the way we are. But wake up. There was a happening, a moment in time where that action, reaction, behavior, decision didn't exist, whether in your life or in your ancestors' life, before it got passed down onto you. But everything that has been learnt can be unlearnt. Everything that has happened can be undone. Anything that harms you or your relationship doesn't have to stay the same. You're not stuck. It can be undone. Right. So we've established the fact that we can't stop change externally, and that external change is supposed to help us turn to the fact that there are things that we can influence internally, and those internal things can change. Internal things like our actions, our reactions, our mindsets, our belief systems, even our trauma. Step 2 now. Step up. A lot of the time, our internal things that aren't helpful to us are a result of things that happen to us. Things that came our way that we didn't want. Things that bruised you, hurt you, made you feel unstable and unsteady happen to you. Pain, trauma, abuse, economic instability, job loss, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual chaos, poverty, famine, loss. Things happened to you. Maybe they weren't your fault. Maybe they were. Maybe they were your fault, at least in part. Regardless, they happened to you. But you can also happen to you. You can happen to you when you do step 2 and step up and take a lead on what's going on the inside. It's not enough for us to realize that things are in disarray and disorganized internally. We then need to take a step up into responsibility and ownership, not in a way that's full of self-blame and shame, but in empowerment. Step up and realize that you have the power to change your life. I'm not saying that everything that happens is your fault, but it's about believing that you matter and you having an influence on an internal level can make a difference to your life. But if you choose to resist change, you choose to resist influencing things that are going on the inside, it can result in a mindset where you start to believe that nothing I do matters. And this mindset can lead to you doing nothing physically. In fact, psychologists call this learned helplessness. Learned helplessness is when you stop trying to progress in life because you've told yourself, I can't. But accepting bad, accepting chaos and leaving it to just be doesn't make things stay the same in your life or get any better. That's fundamentally against the second law of thermodynamics. The second law of thermodynamics states, in an isolated system with no external input, entropy, disorder, increases. What does this mean in simple terms? In simple terms, this means things left to themselves, i.e., doing nothing, causes more chaos. And we can apply this to our own lives. If we just leave things to themselves, do nothing, leave them to just be, they won't just stay the same, they'll get more chaotic. For example, in my job, if I decide that I'm not going to do anything, my boss will eventually clock onto it. Best case scenario, I'll get the chat. Worst case scenario, I'll get promoted to former employee. All of a sudden, my calendar is wide open and my bank account minimal, very chaotic. If I do nothing for my body and my physical health, this vessel, this body of mine will start filing complaints. Quietly at first, with just a few aches and pains here and there. And then eventually a whole lot louder, where everything seems to hurt for no apparent reason. Chaos in slow motion. Or even my social life. If I do nothing to keep up with my friendships and my relationships in my life, things will get chaotic. People don't usually just explode, but they will start drifting away. Invites start coming a lot less frequently, and then all of a sudden one day I'll realize my relationships have entered archive chats, emotionally very chaotic. So it turns out doing nothing doesn't stop change. It actually causes change, and the consequences are very enthusiastic. But when you step up and realize that, hey, I may not be able to change the things around me, but I can influence and change the things within me, then in the end, that is what really counts. I'll even tell you an incredible real life true story of someone who had their external situations and scenarios change in a way that was tragic, but they chose to focus on things that they could influence, things internally. This is the story of Viktor Frankl. Viktor was a psychiatrist, which is a doctor that treats mental health issues, and he lived in Vienna. Patients would also come to him to have their nervous system issues treated because he was the leader of a neurology unit in a hospital in 1942. But in September of that year, things drastically changed for Viktor and his wife. He remembers, we had to wait in the station yard for a long time. They told us to form groups of 10 and to leave our luggage. Even our coats and shoes and all our possessions had to be given up. Our tiny remaining belongings were being taken away. Him and his wife were deported and taken as prisoners by the Nazis. From there, they were cruelly moved between different concentration camps and faced intense suffering. Externally, things were completely outside of his control. Overcrowding, little food on starvation rations, brutal conditions, cold, and even illness and disease. His mother murdered, his wife separated from him and then died. Viktor himself only narrowly survived the selection process, which was a process that determined whether someone would go to die or would be forced into labor. Forced work, starvation, rations, illness, brutal cold, ways the world changed that he could not stop or control. Can you imagine the suffering? Yet in that place where choosing hopelessness felt completely reasonable, Victor made one critical decision. He made the decision to focus on things that he could influence, things in his internal life, his attitude, his focus, and his response to suffering. His focus on these internal things was so powerful that he even helped his fellow prisoners who were mentally collapsing with his work that he knew from psychiatry. And mentally, he imagined himself putting his work back together and reconstructing it after the war to help him survive what he was going through. His attitude and focus on internal things helped him create mentally a brighter future and focus in a way that helped him persevere and press through in places where others collapsed. So yes, externally things changed for Victor, and in a way that was very, very dark. But in 1945, things again changed for Victor, but this time towards light and brightness. Victor was liberated in 1945. He got out and went back to Vienna, where he rebuilt his medical career and became the head of a neurological polyclinic. Victor wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning and developed logotherapy, which became highly influential in psychology. He started lecturing all around the world, including major institutions like Harvard and Stanford. He even got remarried and had a daughter. So yes, Victor's life changed again into one of light and brightness. But even after he was liberated, he reflected back on his time as a prisoner, and his thoughts and attitude towards these internal things, towards suffering, was amazing. He writes, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." So what about you and the things that you face in your external situations? There are probably things in your life that if you focus on them, they'll bring you down, dampen your mood. But what ways can you turn your gaze away from the external things and look to your internal things, realizing that you have the ability to step up and influence things on the inside so that your story changes from life happened to me to I started happening to life. And after you've realized that, hey, there are things within me that need to change and I take responsibility and ownership for them changing, then it's time for step 3. Step 3, act. Yes, things happened to you, but it's you who gets to choose what the change inside is. Things happened to you, but your mental state is something that they can't hold, can't own without your consent. Yes, things happen to you, but your decisions are something that they can't hold, can't own without your consent. Yes, things happened to you, but your attitude gratitude is something that they can't hold, can't own without your consent. How will your future change based on the things that you choose to act on? Things that you choose to act on within your influence, things that you choose to act on internally, your mental states, your emotions, your decisional processes, things within you that you can influence, even your emotional cycles. Believing that you have the power to act and those actions make a difference has even been connected to positive health outcomes. This was shown in one Swedish study on 414 patients. These patients took medication to reduce their risk of heart attack and strokes. This medication was called statins. The patients were asked whether they thought the outcome of their health was based on internal factors they could control, because of chance, or because of reasons outside of their control. People who had a high belief that their health outcomes were because of internal factors that they could influence and control self-reported better health outcomes than those who believed that the outcome of their health was due to chance or factors outside of their control. But this makes sense, doesn't it? Because if you believe that your actions make a difference to your health, you'll think more positive thoughts and be more likely to choose actions that will help your body. These positive actions will eventually stack up and increase the chances of you achieving a healthier outcome. Believing that your actions have weight and choosing to act doesn't just link to physical health benefits. It can also be linked and connected to your mental state too. One of the biggest problems in today's world is the problem of loneliness. In fact, the World Health Organization states that 1 in 6 people globally are battling problems of loneliness. Yet, a study by Dr. Koh and team in Australia with 2,262 responses showed how believing that you can act and acting can even help this mental state. In the study, the participants were asked questions that put them on a spectrum. The spectrum put them somewhere between believing that they had little control over the things that happened to them, to believing that they can do just about anything they really set their mind to. Results were looked at 1 year later, and those who believe that their actions make a difference and they can do just about anything they really set their minds to had significantly lower loneliness scores than those who believe that their actions didn't matter, showing the link between how our mental state could improve by believing that you can act and that your actions make a difference. We've seen it in physical health, we've seen it in mental states, but it goes further than that. It even goes into business and your career. A 2023 study by Dr. Hamza and team studied 102 small businesses. They asked these businesses whether they believed that the outcome of their business and success was due to efforts, actions, and choices within their control, or whether the outcome of their business was due to things that they couldn't control. After this, business growth was analyzed. The results were amazing. Businesses that believe that their choices actions and efforts resulted in business growth and outcome, had entrepreneurs that developed their skills, and the development of those skills led to business success and growth in a way that was statistically significant compared to those that didn't. So in this study, it shows that those who believe that their actions have an impact and act usually develop their skills and grow even in their career. And that growth, that skill development, that evolution has an impact on what actually happens in real life, happens in success. What ways are your job, your career, your purpose, or any area of your life waiting for you to realize that you can act and those actions make a difference? Yes, you may not have been able to stop the past pain, the trauma mentally, emotionally, physically, psychologically, spiritually. But it's you that gets to choose to act. It's you that gets to choose to heal. Yes, you may not have been able to stop the change in the economy, your job, your finances, or your income. But it's you that gets to choose to act, to learn new skills, build new businesses, seek support. Yes, you may not have been able to stop the change in your physical body that resulted in illness, but it's you that gets to choose to act, to hit pause on the hustle and bustle of life and listen to the inner reflections that your body is giving you. Reach out for the healing that Jesus paid for you. Develop and start doing new healthy habits. Yes, you may not have been able to stop the change that led to your country's instability, uncertainty, or lack of safety. But it's you that gets to choose to build your life on things that can't be shaken. Focus your time and your energy on things that'll never fail. Yes, things happened to you, but it's you that gets to choose to wake up, step up, and act. It's you that gets to choose to focus on internal things and bring those into alignment. It's not about having everything externally under your control in a way that avoids change, but it's about stabilizing on the inside, knowing that when you're stable internally, you can face things externally, no matter what they look like. Yes, things don't stay the same externally. They're meant to change, not in a way that breaks you long term, but in a way that makes you more loving, more kind, have greater patience and peace, more internally stable, able to act with self-control and discipline, gentle in your responses to others, and full of joy. Wake up, step up, and act. And exercise is a fantastic way to practice that. Exercise is a great way to train your mind to wake up, step up, and act. Because exercise is a way that you can use your body to initiate mental shifts. Because you see, your body works in different ways. Firstly, it does experience the world around us. It experiences things outside of our control, through what it sees, through what it hears, through what it feels. But then it's also something within your influence. You have the ability to influence your physical health and your mental state through exercise. Because when you exercise, firstly, you have to realize that, hey, I'm not where I want to be in my physical health. Or even if you are where you want to be physically, you have to realize that health is a continuous journey of progression, of growth, of maintenance, i.e., wake up. Then you have to choose to take responsibility for your health and where you want to be, because your body is yours. No one can move it for you, eat better for you, keep up with healthy habits for you. You have to take responsibility for where you are and where you want to be, i.e., stepping up. And finally, with exercise, you need to choose to move. Whether that's walking, running, swimming, playing a sport, lifting weights, stretching, or however you choose to move, you actually need to do the act. It's not enough to know that it's a good idea. It's not even enough to own the fact that your health is your responsibility. The only way that you get a result with the journey of exercise is by actually moving, i.e., act. So if you struggle with change, if you struggle with things not staying the same on the outside, try exercise as a way of training your mind to wake up, step up, and act. That way you can learn that there are things that you can focus on internally and you can wake up to them. You can learn that you have power to influence them as you take responsibility, and you can learn that your actions make a difference as you start moving towards a direction that you actually want in life from the inside out. And as you do that, change starts to feel less like the enemy, less hostile, less like it's going to throw you into a spin. You start to become okay with change, maybe even joyful, realizing that change isn't there to throw you off, but that you can, you will, you are capable of navigating change with intention. Because moving forward in life was never about out there anyway. It was always about things internally that you can influence. Things like your mindset, your behavior, your emotions, the way you choose to react. And when you realize that it's not about out there, them, it, whatever them, there it is, won't stop you. Because them, there, it can never take away your ability to wake up, step up, and act. Remember who you're truly meant to be is worth becoming. My name's Una, and it's been a pleasure to have shared this small portion of your journey with you.